and that is magic. I had some really weird openings planned for this episode. Just keep in mind when you hear this one, this was the winner of all of them. Is it weird to say that if the Sinaloa cartel gave me a job producing content for them and therefore giving me my dream job and paying me super well and getting to live in Mexico, that I'd do it and be happy? Well, that's the situation from our protagonist in this week's Quibi show, Flipped. We are now officially on our last full episode of the Quibi reviews. I hope you've enjoyed what I've done thus far, and I hope after all of these reviews, maybe you have given Quibi a shot. $4.99 a month. Cancel at any time. You really can't beat it. And especially as we start going back to work, it is going to be the perfect platform for that commute, or for breaks, or for lunch, or for just catching 10 minutes when you're in the bathroom and you get home and you just really want a little peace and quiet. So as you know by now, Quibi stands for Quick Bites, and these reviews are going to be quick bites as well. Just short little episodes to let you know whether or not you should check out a show on Quibi's platform, and maybe whether or not Quibi is worth your money to get the platform as a whole. This week we're going to be talking about Flipped, which is a very interesting show on the Quibi platform. Again, is it for everybody? I don't know. Stay tuned to find out by the end. I'm going to talk a little bit about the show itself. I'll let you know what the concept is. We'll talk about who's in it. Then I will kind of give you some background on what the episodes are at the beginning, but no spoilers, of course. And then at the end, I'll wrap with my recommendation on whether or not it's worth your time to check out, and maybe whether it makes Quibi worthwhile to pay for as a whole. So again, this week we are talking about Flipped, which is a reality show-esque HGTV kind of based sitcom with Will Forte and Kaitlin Olson. And those are some big names, and I was not expecting it. But before we get too far into the review, let's get through the pleasantry, shall we? Flipped was directed by Ryan Case. It was written by Damon Jones and Steve Mallory. As I said a little earlier, it is starring Will Forte as Jan Melfi, Kaitlin Olson as Cricket Melfi, Luis Moncada as Marco, Arturo Castro as Diego, and I must say I was really impressed by Diego's performance. I only know him from one other show and I'm trying to place it now, but this was so different from what I've seen in him before. I'm excited to see what he has in store for us for the future. Andy Garcia as Romualdo, Ramon Camacho as Javi, Rebecca Romijn and Jerry O'Connell as the Connollys, Eva Longoria as Fidelia, and Ruben Garfias as Mr. Ortega. So this is also a review where I felt weird about saying I really identify with Jan Melfi, the main character here, because basically both Jan and Cricket are underemployed, or at least they think they are. Cricket works at a place called Fair and Square Market, or Fair and Square something, but it's basically a hardware store. It's True Value or Home Depot or one of those places, Lowe's. And Jan works at a school. He's a drama teacher, as well as I think teaching something else. And they both think that destiny has in store for them bigger things. And somehow they found each other. And they're married, and they have a really weird marriage where it's like kind of asexual, and they are like life mates, but not necessarily like they're partners in crime in a way, but not really partners. It's very odd. And then I was going into that thinking like, I do feel a lot like Jan. And I'm like, wait, so I feel like a guy who is probably underqualified for the job he has, but thinks that he's way overqualified and thinks that destiny is going to make him something better, and then just basically stumbles into a great situation and ruins it. Made me do some deep thinking about my life, really. And you don't expect that from a Quibi show. You know, you don't expect to have those deep questions be asked when you're watching a Quibi show, but there you go. But in episode 1, the Melfis both get fired from their jobs. They both go home to their studio apartment. Spoiler alert, I'm recording in a studio apartment right now. And they basically wonder out loud what it is they're going to do next. They can't go back to Jan's sisters because the restraining order is still in effect. And they're not really sure what their next move is. They're almost out of money and kind of out of time, way behind on the rent, etc., etc. But destiny looks out for them. And in that moment, they see an ad. An ad on HRTV, which is kind of like HGTV in the real world. And the Connollys, who host a home improvement show Basically, they go into someone's house and then they help them make the best of their house. I don't watch these shows, so I don't really know an example. Property Brothers come to mind, but I'm not honestly sure what that show is, so it may not be that at all. But I think there was a show called Flipped, where they would just flip a house, right? Flip the house. That's basically what they do. So there you go. But their show is called Pros and Connolly's. See, because they're a couple and it's a play on the name. And they are basically everything that the Melfis want to be and everything that they think they can be. And they're having a contest to find the next great flipping couple. So the Melfis immediately think, that's destiny. This is us. We could do it. And next thing you know, we're in a car headed out to the middle of nowhere. And it turns out that they found a house that was a foreclosure for $3,100. And when you picture in your mind a house that you can buy for $3,100, that's exactly the house that they got. Someone later calls it a dilapidated, abandoned meth house. And that is being generous. But they set up shop and they start to, they're going to get their show, right? So demo day starts, and that is apparently a thing in these shows, and they're going to demo the whole building, and they go to knock down a wall, and what do they find? But a whole bunch of money stashed in the walls. Well, come to find out, Diego, a member of the Sinaloa cartel, even though it's not called the Sinaloa cartel, but they have Sinaloa plates and they live in Sinaloa and it's everything about the Sinaloa, but not the Sinaloa cartel, is using that house as a stash house, not only for drugs going into the U.S., but for money coming out of the U.S. And the Melfis have found the money and spent it renovating this house to make a show. And of course, Diego, not very happy about that. However, he does like the house and he does like what they did with it for such a little amount of money. So what is there to do? Now, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but if you've seen the concept for the show, okay, it's going to be a spoiler for that. He takes them into Mexico to his house and instead makes them renovate his house to pay back the money. And I'm not really sure how that works conceptually. I suppose that they would have a fee, and if they do the house, we'll call that $500,000 the fee, but it's not like they were buying anything themselves, like paint or drywall or anything. He was buying that. They were just designing it. So they're offering their services for free and redoing his house. Apparently that was valued at $500,000. But after they finish his house, they think, oh great, we're done. We're going to go back to our regular lives, but not so fast. Destiny has another plan in effect, and they're going to learn it through the rest of the 7 or 8 episodes that are left. Now, as far as this show as a whole, I enjoyed it a lot. Even though I don't really know and I don't really watch the shows that it's kind of making fun or like spoofing or based on, I don't watch HGTV. I'll probably never be a homeowner, so it doesn't really interest me. If I'm going to rent the rest of my life, like I don't really care, about any of that stuff. And I always just used to make fun of them. I really only know the memes of it. Like, I'm a butterfly collector and my husband likes to collect exotic stamps. And so our budget is $1.7 million. Like, that's all I know about this whole world. So I was coming into it kind of blind. And I will say that this show delivered the comedy that I was kind of expecting from Die Hard and didn't get. And I don't know why I'm surprised by that. Will Forte, Kaitlin Olson, 2 very funny people, and they're thrown into a situation that I have not seen before, and that I can't imagine being funny. And especially for Kaitlin Olson, who obviously is from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I think that is her forte. See what I did there? Because it's Will Forte. I think that's what her forte is like just normal, everyday, or even terrible stuff and making it funny. And I have to say, seeing both of these two really made me want to go back and watch some Always Sunny. It made me want to go and watch again and actually finish, because I don't think I finished it, Last Man on Earth, which is obviously Will Forte's show. And I have been super busy over the past couple of weeks. If you haven't seen the previous videos or any other stuff I'm doing, I'm running for president. So there's that. And so I have to build a website, robcheekforpresident.com. I have to stay really active on social media, at robcheekforprez on all social medias. So it's taking up so much of my time that I can't even sit down and watch a movie. Really, I can't give it that kind of attention. But do not fear. I do have a couple movies coming up in the queue. 7500 is actually on my screen right now. And I'm waiting for an American Pickle tomorrow, and I have Palm Springs coming up, and a bunch of new stuff. I got HBO Max, so I'm really excited. But there's also Peacock as a platform that I'm super stoked to dive into. I started Brave New World I'm probably going to do a review about that, just honestly, because it is so weird and so fascinating, and it drew me in episode 1. But I also have all of my stuff going on, of course, at Robert and Chic on our social networks. I have the Everyman Movie review stuff. The links to that are down below. And the podcast I do every week with my buddy Corey, Oh The Anthem, so at Oh The Anthem on social media and ohtheanthem.com. So it seems I have so much going on, I don't know when I'm going to have time to get back to some of my favorites from the past. I got to focus on what's going on in the future. But hopefully you have a little bit of extra time, and if you do, I highly recommend Flipped as a show to check out on Quibi. Again, kind of the questions I go to are, is this the show that brings you to the platform? As much as I love this show, I don't think this is the show that brings you to Quibi as a platform. This is a deliciously rich cannoli after a meal, but it is not in and of itself the kind of the meal that's going to satiate you. I really enjoyed it, and it was funny, and it was complicated in all the best ways, and it was comfortable and yet awkward. It's exactly what I wanted from Forte and Kaitlin Olson. It's exactly that. But that's not necessarily what I always want, and it's probably not worth the price of admission for the platform as a whole. Now, taking into account all of these reviews I've been doing, I think that there's a lot of great stuff there. And maybe it's like the day after Thanksgiving. You're not going to sit down and you're not going to get one big meal. There's no turkey to dive into. But there's just enough that you can pick and choose and make yourself a little platter of some extras and it be worthwhile. And all of the things I've done review for, you can do 1 month of Quibi, get them out of the way, and move on, if that's what you want to do. But if you already have Quibi, I highly recommend Flipped. I think it was fantastic. And by the way, the name of the show that they came up with, it was Pros and Connolly's, the show that they loved. Their show was called Flipped and Gone with Cricket and Jan. And that is magic. So if you had a chance to check out any of the shows from Quibi that I've done, especially this one Flipped, let me know down in the comments below. I'm anxious to hear what you guys think. Do have to say, just like I've been saying almost every episode, Quibi, who is this for? You nailed me. I love Will Forte and I love Kaitlin Olson, but I don't see a bunch of tweens and teens digging into this. They probably don't know who either of these people are. I don't understand your business model. I really don't. I love it. Keep the content coming because it's for me, but I don't know how you're going to make it in this world. But thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Everyman Movie Review. As you know, 2 episodes a week, every Thursday and 1 day in between. I got a lot of exciting stuff coming, so I hope you hit that subscribe button and the notifications to let you know when a new episode is up. But until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great week, everybody.